Hello everybody, Skin Deep Beauty Vlogger here. I hope you're all really well. As you can probably tell by my barefaced appearance, today's video is going to be another first impressions review. My last one was a drugstore one, so today I'm reviewing a high-end or department store brand, and it is the Clinique Beyond Perfecting Foundation and Concealer. I had a coffee with the Clinique PR and she gave me an overview and some of the products to try out of the upcoming seasonal collection, and one of the new launches that she was telling me about was this new foundation and concealer in one. The reason that it's called a foundation and concealer in one is because of the application, which is this sort of oversized doe foot applicator. Now, I haven't tried this out. It's complete first impressions. It is a preview sample that I've been given, so they just had the one shade. It may not suit me. In fact, I suspect it probably won't. I think it's going to be a little dark, but because I've got a tan at the moment, hopefully it will work. Or at least, you know, I can still tell you my impressions of the foundation, even though the shade might not be an exact match. So I'm going to get started and apply this. One thing I wanted to mention is that my first impressions reviews are always really long, so grab yourself a cup of coffee, or if you want, just zoom to the end, and towards the end is where I summarise my thoughts and also what the company claims and whether I agree with them or not. So I'm going to apply this using my Real Techniques buffing brush, and I'm just going to spritz that with a little bit of water because that's how I apply all of my foundations. I've just prepped my skin in the usual way with some moisturiser, but I'm not wearing primer. And I'm not really sure how to apply this. I mean, I'm not going to comment too much on the packaging because, I mean, this is what the bottle looks like, but it didn't come in a box or anything because it's a sample. I assume the box is the usual Clinique green with the floral design, which I have to say I find a little outdated. But I personally would prefer this to have a pump, but I guess that they're using this doe foot applicator so that they can say it's a foundation and concealer. I don't know if you're meant to sort of dot it around your face. That to me is a little unhygienic, so I think I'm going to pop some on the back of my hand, and that's sort of the amount that you get from one sort of doe foot application. There seems to be a little well in the doe foot, I don't know if you can see that. So I'm going to put two on the back of my hand. It looks like a fairly thick gel cream consistency. You know, I don't even know what this shade is. Number 9, neutral. So let's just start to apply this. I've got my mirror down here. I don't actually have any active blemishes at the moment. Whoa, this really is the wrong colour, but we'll just test it for the formula. It's not too bad with my tan, I guess. So as I said, I don't have any active breakouts at the moment, just my usual sort of acne scarring. Feels cooling on application. I tend to find that with most products. I really hope my lighting's okay. I film in natural light, so it's actually, to me, feels quite bright. That, I feel like I need more. It hasn't really gone a long way. I think with my tan I'm going to just about be able to get away with this, but I wouldn't sort of go for this colour normally, and I certainly wouldn't wear it out. To me, it's quite a heavy coverage. And yet, I'm feeling like I need quite a bit. I'll take that down my neck. Help with the colour matching. My lighting is terrible. Sorry guys, I can see the shadows on my face falling. Take it onto my ears as well, purely because it's a not an exact match. There's no discernible scent. I mean, it's blending fairly easily. I wouldn't say that it's a particularly buildable foundation. I'm really sorry about the lighting. Okay, actually I was saying that I thought I could make this work with my tan, but even with a tan, I think it's very apparent in real life that this is not the right shade for me, so I won't be going out today. I like the finish. To me it's sort of a medium to full coverage foundation. I'm not really finding that I can build it particularly. I guess if I went in with a second layer then it would be buildable, and most foundations are. But I don't feel like I can, like buffing it is really sort of thinning it out particularly. So medium coverage. I mean, I don't think I'm going to need much of that concealer at all, because whilst I don't have any active blemishes or breakouts, it's actually been sufficient to nearly cover up my acne scars. So I'm going to just take a little bit and just dot it on as I would concealer onto my acne scars. I'm really not sure what I think of this on a first impression. It is difficult with it being the wrong colour. The application was fine, but I don't know, it wasn't the easiest to blend or build. Well, not build, but I didn't really want to build it, but it wasn't the easiest to control. I didn't feel like I could thin it out by buffing it particularly. I think you're going to get a medium coverage with this no matter what you do. The concealer actually is quite nice. I think it's a bit of a gimmick calling it a concealer because you're just sort of dotting your foundation on differently. But it is a nice texture for a concealer, sort of thick gel cream. I think I might prefer it as a concealer actually. Not sure on first impressions. I do think it's a little gimmicky to call it a foundation and a concealer in one, because to me you really need to have a separate product to call it that, and I would probably prefer for them just to call it a foundation and have a traditional pump on the bottle, rather than having this slightly annoying application and trying to get away with calling it two products in one. It's a nice idea, and I actually kind of prefer the texture of it as a concealer, but to me, to call it a two-in-one foundation and concealer, you really need to do something like the Lancome one that I've reviewed previously, where the lid opens up and you have a pot of concealer there. Anyway, I'm going to go and apply the rest of my makeup now, see how it applies, and then I'll check back in. The time now is 10:30, so once I've got the rest of my makeup on, I'll check back in and just tell you what I thought about how it applied. I'm assuming it will just apply normally, but we'll see. Anyway, I'll see you in a minute. Hello everybody, I have applied the rest of my makeup and I'm feeling a little bit more alive now. I had a really bad headache last night. I went to bed about 6 o'clock PM because I really felt nauseous and headachy, and I'm still feeling a little fragile. I didn't sleep very well despite going to bed early just because I was in so much pain. So excuse me if I seem a little off, hopefully not too much. I feel a bit better having sort of just gone through that ritual of applying my makeup. I felt all of the rest of my makeup applied as normal, and I was looking in the mirror and I was like, wow, this really is flawless. I didn't need to apply any under eye concealer, and I, as you saw, didn't apply any of this as an under eye concealer because it really is a good enough coverage that I didn't feel that I needed to. So I would definitely say that this is medium to full coverage. If you like a light foundation, then it's not going to be for you. However, when I'm looking at my lighting in here, where it's sort of natural light and a little bit brighter, I do feel like it's a little cakey, and I'm also noticing that it's really accentuating the pores that I don't normally get bothered about, but I can notice my pores a lot more around here. So if that is something that concerns you, then I'd probably be inclined to use this with a primer. At the moment, I'm not sort of convinced about this foundation. I like the full coverage of it. It doesn't, you can feel it on the skin, but it doesn't feel really heavy and cakey. But if you like a light coverage, then this isn't going to be for you. I can tell you that straight off. But other than that, I haven't really made up my mind about it. So I'm going to check in throughout the day and let you know how I'm getting on. The time now is just coming up to 11 o'clock, 10:49. So yeah, I'll check in throughout the day and see if I have any other opinion. Hello everyone, it's just gone 12:36. Sorry, my friends just texted me, we're arranging to meet up this week. I thought I would jump on with my thoughts on the Clinique Beyond Perfecting Foundation and Concealer. I've been wearing it for just over an hour and a half, so I thought I would touch on a few comments that I've got to make. Not too many. I don't really think that it's oxidizing, but it is quite difficult to give a true impression with the colour being off. It feels very comfortable on the skin. I don't feel like I've got a heavy foundation on. I can feel that I'm wearing something, but it's not uncomfortable. It doesn't sort of feel tacky particularly, or, you know, I quite like the way that this feels on my skin. It's worth pointing out that I don't believe this has any SPF in it, so that's something to bear in mind. I mean, it doesn't bother me. In fact, I prefer my foundations not to have an SPF because they can cause flashback in photography if they do. So I prefer to get my SPF protection from my skincare. I do feel that it's wearing pretty well. I'm not getting any oily breakthroughs or anything. I have noticed a little bit here where I've got sort of, I don't know, very fine marionette lines and a little bit of dehydration around my face, but it is settling into those lines a little bit. So if you've got very mature skin, then maybe this wouldn't be for you. I feel like my comments are very much, I'm quite decided on who this wouldn't be suited for. It wouldn't be suited to somebody that likes light foundation. It wouldn't be suited for somebody with very mature skin. But other than that, I'm not 100% sure of my opinion on this just yet. So I'll continue to wear it throughout the day and check back in with my thoughts. But so far I'm impressed that I haven't got any oiliness coming through just yet. I wouldn't expect to at this stage, but you never know. And as far as I can tell, there's no oxidization. One thing I wanted to point out is that on the back this says that it has a natural matte finish. To me, I would say that it's more of a satin, almost like a velvety finish. I don't think it's matte at all. Maybe that's where they're getting the natural matte from, but to me it's very sort of satiny, velvety, but not matte. Anyway, I will check back in a few hours' time, or if I have any further thoughts in the meantime. See you soon. Hello everyone, it's coming up to 5 p.m. So I thought that I would jump on with my final thoughts of the day on the Clinique Beyond Perfecting Foundation and Concealer. It's a 2-in-1 product. Overall, I'm quite happy with how this has worn throughout the day. I haven't really jumped on with many updates because my opinions haven't sort of really changed that much. This is the kind of foundation that I haven't fallen in love with on my first try of it. But nor do I hate it. It's just fine. It does a good job. I'm very impressed with the flawless coverage that it gives, and I feel like it's worn really well throughout the day. I tend to get oily around my chin area, a little bit around my nose, mostly my T-zone, but specifically around my chin, and that's where I can really notice products breaking down and oil and my natural oils coming through. Admittedly, I haven't tried this for as long as I would normally wear a foundation. Firstly, because I'm at my parents' house and I don't have my lighting with me, so I just wanted to film a slightly shorter video, but by this point I would normally expect to have some oils coming through, and they're really not. So overall, I'm really impressed with how this is worn, and I think that would make it a good choice for anybody with skin like mine, which is combination with an oily T-zone. Having said that, I've got a little bit of dryness around my nose, and I haven't noticed it clinging to those dry patches. Although where I've got a little bit of dehydration, I've noticed it settling a little bit into fine lines. It's not overly apparent unless you get sort of close up and I'm looking into a mirror, so I think you could probably get away with it, but if you have mature skin, then that's something to bear in mind. I also felt in the initial application that my pores were a little bit more visible than usual, but nothing that I don't think a primer would be able to fix. There is something about this that I think is a little bit gimmicky. To me, it's not really a foundation and concealer in one. I think that to have that sort of claim, you really need to have two separate products. They're only calling it a foundation and concealer in one because you've got this sort of precision doe foot applicator. I would much prefer them to either claim this to be a foundation and give it a pump, which I would find to be a more functional application, or to do it in a smaller size and call it a concealer. I actually really quite liked this when I was applying it as a concealer, but obviously I wouldn't recommend buying this huge one for a concealer because you're not going to use it up in a hurry. I do think it gives a flawless coverage, and it's fairly lightweight on the skin. It doesn't feel too heavy, but you can notice something there. If you're used to a light coverage, then this isn't going to be for you. That's both in terms of the coverage and the way it feels on the skin. Now, I've reviewed a couple of Clarins foundations on here before, the True Radiance and also the, what's it called? Full Comfort? The one in the jar. And it's by no means as heavy as either of those, particularly not the Full Comfort one, which really is quite a rich hydrating foundation. So, but then I don't think it's as lightweight as something such as my Makeup Forever HD foundation, for example, just to give you a bit of a comparison there. I'm going to tell you what the company claims that this does and whether I agree with the claims or not. It is of course a fairly new launch, they're really pushing it at the moment. In fact, just today I was watching TV for a little bit whilst I was reviewing this. The colour is off, so I couldn't really go out. It's not too bad, but it's bad enough that I wouldn't go out with it looking like this because it is too orange to me. So I was watching TV, so I was having a bit of a lazy day watching some TV, and the advert for this came on, so it shows that they really are pushing this. It's £25 for 30ml, so I think that's a reasonable price in comparison with other products like this from other brands around the same level as Clinique. Okay, so what it is: a foundation and concealer in one for a natural, beyond perfected look that lasts all day. So I've already said I'm not convinced by this foundation and concealer in one, and one thing that I'd like to say about that as well is that, okay, they've tried to make that a selling point with this application method, although some people, and I myself included, would probably find that a little unhygienic to apply directly onto the skin. It's not the best product for travel because it's glass, and maybe some people would carry this around for touch-ups throughout the day, but I certainly wouldn't, and I like to carry my concealer to touch up throughout the day, but I wouldn't bother carrying my foundation normally. So in that respect, I don't know, I'm just not getting this two-in-one thing. Natural, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a natural finish. Beyond perfected look, I do think it gives a nice flawless finish that lasts all day. Okay, I haven't tried it as long as normal, but actually I'm very impressed with the longevity of this so far, and bear in mind that I didn't apply primer or anything beforehand. Lightweight, moisturising makeup, covers thoroughly without clogging pores. I think that's fair. I think lightweight is a fair description. If they were to call this weightless, I would disagree. Moisturising, well, I haven't felt my skin feeling tight, but I don't know. You can't forego moisturiser with this, let's put it that way. And without clogging pores, well, I can't say, but I think any makeup, you just need to take it off properly at the end of the day. Skin breathes comfortably, colour stays true, even through sweat and humidity. Skin breathes comfortably. It does feel comfortable on the skin. Colour stays true. Well, that's a little difficult for me to comment on because the colour was off to begin with, but I don't believe that it's oxidised. Even through sweat and humidity, I haven't really experienced either of those. Due to the rich pigment level that enhances this flawless coverage makeup, shades may appear deeper when first applied. That's interesting to note. Let me look at my skin, because I did notice that it was... I don't think it's gotten any lighter. I'm not convinced by that. But as I said, it's difficult because this isn't the right shade for me. One of the good things with Clinique, of course, is that you can go and be shade matched on counter. It is richly pigmented. A little goes a long way with this. I do think that you're going to get a good value for money with this because you don't need to use too much. I felt like the application method, whereby I was dotting this onto the back of my hand, made it feel like I needed to use a lot, but if it was a pump, then I think you could get away with, say, 1 or 2 pumps, so pretty average. Probably just 1 pump. So I think that that actually would get to the bottom, but it would be interesting to see if you were going to have wastage at the end, because I can't see how you're going to really scrape around the edges. You can't cut the bottle open because it's glass, so that's another thing to bear in mind. But it really is highly pigmented. It's a medium to full coverage, and I found it difficult to buff it into the skin if I wanted a lighter coverage. You know, you're getting a medium to full coverage with this. Leave the foundation to settle just for a few minutes. This will allow the high pigment in the formula to adapt to your skin, which is why you get such a flawless, perfected finish, suitable for all skin types. I'm a little confused by those comments about the colour and the pigmentation, and I'm not really sure what to make of it, so all I can tell you is the experience I've had. And suitable for all skin types, I would agree. I think if you've got mature skin, then you might want to test this out first, see if it's going to settle into those fine lines. But as I said, not really clinging to dry patches. If you've got sort of apparent pores, use a primer. And actually, I've been impressed with the wear in my normal oily patches. How to use... Using the large back side of the wand, sweep foundation across your forehead, cheeks and chin. Then use the angled tip of the applicator that has a slight dip in it to hold more product to cover down the bridge of the nose and across the jawline. Blend well with fingers. So I didn't apply it in that way. I don't find it hygienic to put this onto the skin directly, although I quite like what they're saying about how this well has more product in it. And I didn't use my fingers to apply it, just because I'm used to applying my foundation with a brush, basically. Finish by using the pointy tip to spot conceal any trouble areas under the eyes, around the outside of the nose, on top of blemishes. Pat and blend well with fingers. I have to say that I was impressed with the coverage to the extent that I didn't feel like I needed to spot conceal under my eyes. And in terms of concealer for blemishes, I think that's covered up my acne scarring pretty well. not 100% full coverage that I would get from, say, my Kat Von D, but I would say 98% of the coverage that I would get from my Kat Von D Lock-It Tattoo Concealer, and that's one of my all-time favourites. So really do like this as a concealer. I just wouldn't bother buying the entire bottle as a concealer, and I don't love the foundation enough that I would buy it for a foundation. So really what I guess I'm saying is I would like to see this offered in a smaller tube that's just a concealer, because I think that would be really good. It's a fine foundation, I just don't love it. I don't hate it, I don't love it. I don't have any sort of strong feelings about it, and I do find it gimmicky. How many shades are available in this? It looks like there's a lot of shades. It's quite difficult to tell from the website how many shades are available, but it looks like there's a minimum of 21 shades available, and I had shade 9 Neutral, so which wasn't a true match at all, so don't take that as being the right shade for you if you have the same skin tone as me. But I do like that Clinique bring out a wide range of shades in their products. I think that's really, really good. And of course you can get colour matched. I would recommend trying this out and maybe trying a sample, because I think that this could suit you if you've got, say, acne prone skin, if you've got a lot of blemishes that you want to cover up and you're worried about sort of your foundation that you're using at the moment maybe breaking down a lot with oily patches. But generally I don't love this. I think it's a good product. I don't hate it. But if it was my own money, but put it this way, I'm not going to spend my own money going out and repurchasing it in the correct shade for me, because I don't love it that much. I hope that you found this useful. Do give it a thumbs up if you enjoy first impressions reviews. Let me know in the comments below if there's any other first impressions reviews you'd like me to do. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. There's a button just below, and I will see you all soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!